Marc Marquez just joined the two greatest motorcycle racers who ever lived, and he earned every single one of those wins. The 2026 Hungarian Grand Prix at Balaton Park Circuit delivered everything this sport promises and then completely blindsided you anyway. A returning champion fighting back through the pack, a young KTM Charger pushing him to the absolute edge, and a turn-one collision in the opening seconds that shattered championship standings and left two of the title favorites stranded in the gravel. This was round 8 of the 22-race 2026 season, June 5th to June 7th, and it told you everything about where this title fight is actually heading. Balaton Park Circuit sits about 90 minutes from Budapest, near Lake Balaton, a modern, purpose-built facility with design inspiration drawn from Suzuka and Losail. High-speed straights, tight technical sections, a tire-eating surface that punishes aggression and rewards riders who think 3 laps ahead. During Friday practice, multiple riders flagged how the layout whips through long, fast corners before snapping into late braking zones with zero margin for mistakes. That detail matters enormously when you get to the crash. But first, what Marc Marquez achieved at this circuit is the kind of thing you will be telling younger MotoGP fans about 20 years from now. Marquez arrived at this weekend carrying the shadow of a recent shoulder surgery and the memory of a fall early in Saturday's qualifying session. Coming off surgery, posting a fall, then qualifying on pole position. That sequence right there tells you everything about why this man keeps collecting trophies. He took the sprint on Saturday, crossed the line first, and set the tone for Sunday. But the Grand Prix itself had a complication nobody saw coming. Pedro Acosta chose the soft rear tire. Bold. Calculated. That decision let him attack hard from the opening laps, and on lap 2, he took the lead from Marquez, with a move that reminded the paddock exactly why they consider him a future world champion. Acosta ran that KTM at the front with genuine pace, not just surviving the position, but actively pulling lap times down. Marquez tracked him from second place, managing his medium rear compound with the patience that comes from 6 Premier Class World Championship titles. He knew the soft tire would give up. He waited, measured the gap corner by corner, and then, on lap 15, he went. Turn 9 was the moment. The pass was clean, decisive, and final. Marquez crossed the checkered flag 1.343 seconds ahead to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. What that victory meant extends far beyond one race result. Reaching 100 Grand Prix wins across all classes made Marquez only the 3rd rider in the complete recorded history of this sport to reach that number. The names on that list are Valentino Rossi and Giacomo Agostini. Full stop. Not Mick Doohan. Not Jorge Lorenzo. Not Casey Stoner. Not any other great champion from the past 5 decades of racing. 3 riders, 3 names carved into history. And as of June 7, 2026, Marquez belongs among those with 100 career Grand Prix wins. And if one milestone wasn't enough, that win also handed Ducati's factory team their 100th Premier Class victory. 2 separate centenaries. 1 race, 1 afternoon. When does that ever happen? Now to Acosta, because reducing him to a footnote would be completely wrong. He rode a masterful race. He outqualified almost the entire field, led laps against the strongest rider on the grid, and finished second in both the sprint and the Grand Prix. But the record those results attached to his name is one he absolutely does not want following him around. 13 MotoGP podiums without a single Premier Class win. That's the most podiums any rider has accumulated at this level without ever standing on the top step. 13 times in the top 3. Still searching. How long can KTM keep coming this close before something breaks their way? Behind the front 2, Francesco Bagnaia wrapped up 3rd place at plus 11.632 seconds, his third consecutive podium of the season, riding a controlled and patient race while others around him self-destructed. The kind of Sunday result that looks ordinary and looks completely smart by the time the standings update drops. The lower-order results produced stories worth your attention. Luca Marini finished 5th for Honda HRC Castrol, his best result since joining the manufacturer, and Honda desperately needed that positive data point. Diogo Moreira came home 6th, a career-best MotoGP finish for the LCR Honda rookie, who has been building his confidence race by race through a tough season on a difficult machine. 7th went to Iker Lecuona, stepping in for the injured Alex Marquez at Gresini Ducati, and immediately raising questions about his long-term future in the Premier class. None of those stories hit with more force than Fabio Di Giannantonio. Caught directly in the Turn 1 carnage at race start, his Ducati damaged and his race seemingly over before the second corner, Di Giannantonio refused to stop. He got back on that battered bike, climbed through the field lap by lap, overtook multiple riders through sheer refusal to accept defeat, and crossed the line 12th. 12th place on a damaged machine after a first-lap collision. That result protected his third-place position in the World Championship standings, and in a title fight this compressed, those points carry weight nobody outside his garage fully appreciates. Now, the crash, the moment that rewrote the entire championship picture in roughly 3 seconds. Jorge Martin got his braking completely wrong at Turn 1 in the opening seconds of the Grand Prix and slammed directly into Marco Bezzecchi, his own Aprilia Racing teammate and the World Championship leader entering that weekend. The collision cascaded immediately. Raul Fernandez on the Trackhouse Aprilia went down. Fermín Aldeguer from Gresini Ducati went down. Di Giannantonio's machine absorbed impact damage. 5 riders affected at one corner on the opening lap. Medical checks afterward confirmed no fractures for Bezzecchi or Martin, and that is genuinely the only piece of relief in the entire sequence of events. Stewards handed Martin a double long lap penalty to be served at Brno. Plenty of voices in the paddock called that lenient. But the actual damage to Aprilia's season was not the penalty sitting on Martin's race entry for the next round. Bezzecchi walked into Hungary leading the championship with 180 points. Martin walked in second with 160. Both walked out of Hungary carrying 0 race points from Sunday, 0 from the championship leader, 0 from second place. Marquez closed the gap hard. Acosta closed the gap. Bagnaia closed the gap. One braking error from Martin erased the standings cushion Aprilia spent 7 rounds constructing. What does that do to the dynamic inside that garage? Martin was publicly quoted as saying he lost control after the crash. Bezzecchi's corner of the paddock responded with noticeably less warmth. When you eliminate your own championship-contending teammate, it was an honest mistake, only carries the conversation so far, before the silence becomes louder. The 2 weeks before Brno are going to be cold inside that Aprilia tent. Martin starts Brno already carrying a double penalty on the back foot before the formation lap. Bezzecchi starts there needing to recover championship ground and internal trust at the same time. Marquez arrives with a century of wins, a Ducati firing at peak performance, and the kind of momentum that feeds on itself race after race. Acosta rolls into Brno still hungry for that first win, on a KTM that proved at Balaton Park it can lead this field when conditions align correctly. Brno Circuit hosts the next round from June 19th to June 21st, 2026. The standings are getting incredibly tense as we head to the next round. Who do you back to hold the championship lead when Brno is done? Drop your pick in the comments, subscribe so you catch every breakdown this year, and we will see you at the next corner.